What's up, everybody? This is Taj with Food by Chillers, and today we're going to be making the most amazing surf and turf ever, topped with the creamy garlic sauce that's guaranteed to rock your world.
So rock it. Don't do that.
So now we have the steak, and this is a nice ribeye steak that we got. It's probably, let's say, about a couple inches, well, maybe 1.5 inch thick, and we have our oven preheated to 275, and we're just going to get it seasoned up and get it ready to go. So at this point, I know most people will probably tell you to add olive oil as maybe like an adherent for the seasonings that we're about to use, but I like to use liquid smoke. So so we're just gonna put a little bit on, just like that, and we're just gonna rub it in. Just paint it on just like you would do the olive oil. And you know what? You can get your hands dirty a little bit. That's what they're here for. So front and back. More olive oil. Liquid smoke, look at me. Got it all on there. And now for the seasoning, this is just your standard seasoning for steak. Kosher salt, pepper, paprika, a little cumin, and garlic powder. So we're just gonna season it up. And we're gonna go a little heavy. This is a pretty thick steak, so you don't want it bland. And we're just gonna pat it on. Really get it in. And maybe rub it in a little bit. We really want this. So we're gonna do front, now we're doing the back. Rub it in, give it a rub. And I like just to put a little bit on the side because we really wanna really mop it up because we want every part of this steak, even that back fat cup, we want that to be seasoned as well. So now we have it nice and seasoned, and we're just gonna put it on a rack. And the reason why I use a rack is because when you put it in the oven on a rack, it gives the heat of the oven a chance to fully circulate around the meat to give it a more even cook. If you don't have one, I would suggest maybe investing in one. If you don't though, you can definitely just line a pan, a baking sheet with foil, and that will work okay as well. So now that we have the steak on the rack, we're just gonna insert a nice insert thermometer. Now this is one of my favorite gadgets in the kitchen. I feel like it's a must have, definitely top 3, because you never wanna guess at what temperature your protein is. You always want to know. So for me personally, I like my steak to be around medium well. So I'm gonna set the timer to maybe 160, maybe 150. That's what we're gonna let it go up to, because you also have to consider the carryover heat, which is basically the heat after you take it out of the oven when you're letting it rest. So we're just gonna insert the thermometer to the dead center, because that's really gonna, be the indication of, how done our meat is, the center. And you try not to hit the bone while you're putting it in there as well. So we're gonna turn it on. So as I said before, I have my insert thermometer set to 155. We're just gonna pop it in the oven until it reaches temperature, and we'll be right back with the next step. So now we have the steak out of the oven, and right now I know that it doesn't look that appetizing yet, but that's because we just let it cook up to temperature. Now we're going to use this screaming hot pan, and you want your pan very, very hot so we can sear the steak and get those nice colors that we want and that we expect from a steak. So first we're just going to put a little olive oil in the pan, just a little bit. And I don't know if you guys can really see this at home, but when the olive oil hits the pan, it's gonna start smoking just a little bit. That's how you know your pan is hot. And once you put it in the pan, if it doesn't sizzle, that means your pan's not hot enough. So we're just gonna give it a moment, and then we're gonna start cooking. And that's what you want right there. If your pan is not sizzling like that, take it out and start over. So we're just gonna try to push it down just so the grapes can really, give us those nice grill marks. But the trick is, do not touch it. Just let it do its thing, just give it a minute, just let it go for a minute, do not touch it all. Don't flip it, just let it do its thing. So now we're gonna turn it to the opposite side to try to get those checkerboard marks that we love, and just do the same thing. Let it go for like a minute aside, and now we're gonna take it off. And the key from here is do not cut into it at all right now. We're gonna let it rest, tint it with a little bit of oil, let it rest for at least 10 minutes. And while it rests for the 10 minutes, we're gonna start our shrimp and the sauce that's gonna accompany the steak. All right, so now we have some nice large white shrimp that we got from Publix, my favorite store ever. And so we also have some butter and some olive oil. And the reason why I like to use olive oil and butter, just so the butter doesn't burn. The olive oil has a lot of fat content that will let the butter just stay nice and it won't burn as easy as it normally probably would if you just use butter by itself. So now we're just gonna season the shrimp. We're gonna put a little olive oil on there, just so the seasoning can stick to it. Maybe like a tablespoon, nothing more. We really don't need that much. And then in this seasoning blend, we just have just a little Old Bay, garlic powder, onion powder, salt, you know, pretty standard. Oh, and I put a little lemon pepper in here because I love the lemon pepper taste, especially with seafood. So we're just gonna season it and reserve a little bit just for the sauce that we're gonna do a little bit later. And now we're just gonna mix it up. Get it all tossed, make sure everything is nice and covered. And you can always add more seasoning if you need to, because we don't want no bland food. We want it nice and seasoned. All right, so now we got the shrimp seasoned up nice, and we're just gonna toss them into this pan. And we're just gonna let them sear. We want a little bit of color on them. Not so much, but we just definitely want to get them cooked through. And there's one thing I do want to talk about these shrimps. If you notice, the tail has been taken off. I totally had those removed. Yes, they're deveined and peeled. But I like to remove the tail off the shrimp because there's nothing that I hate more than if I'm going to eat like some pasta or like a nice shrimp and turf like we're doing now, and you have to do work. I don't want to have to peel my own shrimp or take the tail off. I just want to dig in. I know you're the same way. So now we're just going to let these saute up. And you can kind of already see that they're turning like pink. And that's a good thing. And you don't want to move it around so much. You want to let them get a little bit of color. So I'm actually going to turn my heat up. On this induction, it goes by numbers and degrees. So I'm probably on 1200, which is probably around medium high. And that's exactly what you want to be. And you can see like the nice color that's forming on them already. All right, you guys, so the shrimp are done, and look, you can see they got like a nice crust on them. Nothing too much, just a little bit, just a little browning around the edges. That's exactly what we wanted. So we're gonna take those off now. Make sure you get a clean bowl and put them in. And just dump them in. And we're gonna reserve those for later. We're gonna add the butter, tablespoon of butter to the pan, and we're gonna use the same pan that we cooked those shrimp in because we want that flavor, and it's gonna work very well into that sauce. You're gonna love it. Just let that melt down. And again, we're gonna add just a little bit of olive oil to that pan as well. And look, you can see the butter's already like foaming up and turning the color of that seasoning. It smells amazing in this kitchen right now. Alright, so we're just gonna turn our burner down just a little bit. And I have some sliced onions here that we're gonna add in. And we just wanna let those like really, really cook down. We just want them to be translucent. We don't wanna take them as far as, you know, it's like almost burning them or just like sauteing them. We just want them to be like very soft and translucent. And that same seasoning that we use for the shrimp, we're gonna also use it to season your onions a little bit. Maybe a tablespoon or so, or a teaspoon. After 5 minutes, this is where we're at with our onions. They look nice and soft. They smell amazing. This is exactly where we want them. Just nice and soft, not too, like, you know, not too overdone. Just nice and sauteed. And so now that we're here, we're gonna add a little bit of minced garlic. And the reason why we're adding our garlic in now is because garlic tends to burn. And at the rate and the temperature that the onions are cooking, we don't want the garlic to burn because it gives a bad aftertaste, and we You don't want that. So we're just gonna saute that garlic in. And instantly you can smell it. It just immediately fragrant. We have our heavy whipping cream here. And we just wanna add about a half a cup. This is gonna be our sauce. And I know now it looks a little watery, but as the time goes on, it's gonna get nice and thick. So again, we're gonna add a little bit of the season that we use for our shrimp. Remember, that's why I told you to reserve some. So nice, we're just gonna mix that in. And we already have our butter and our olive oil in there, so it's perfect. And now, I didn't plan on this, but I think now I wanna add just a little bit of Worcestershire sauce in here, just to bring it up just a little bit. Just added just a couple dashes of Worcestershire sauce, just to elevate it a little bit. Nice, and you can tell just as it's going, it's already starting to thicken up with those onions. Nothing better than steak and onions, and adding just a nice sauce, this is gonna take it over the top. So just give it about, I'll say maybe 2 to 3 minutes, and from here it's just gonna thicken up and we'll be ready to plate. Alright, so at this point the sauce has been reducing and thickening up for about 5 minutes now. You can just see how from what we started with it being watery, now it's pretty thick. It has reduced down a little bit. You can tell by the sides of the pan. But yeah, it just looks amazing. So now I've turned the heat off and I just want to add a little bit of fresh parsley, just for some color. Just a little bit of parsley in there. And you never want to add parsley while the heat is still on, because it'll start wilting and turn a grayish color, and it just looks very bad and it tastes even worse. So you see the parsley is in there, it just takes it up a notch just visually. Alright, so now we have our steak here. It's been resting while we made the sauce. We're gonna plate it up. Just put it in the middle of the plate like this. Move this out the way, don't need that anymore. And our shrimp, you can just pile it just on the top, just in the center, or just scatter, just make it look pretty. As pretty as you can. If you're making this for 2 people and have another steak, you can, I'll say maybe about, they shrunk a little bit, so I'd probably say maybe 6 to 7 shrimp per person should be fine. Just enough just to, you know, make it look full. You don't want to cheat anybody. So now we're gonna get a spoon and it's time to ladle that sauce. So you can see the onions are nice. We're gonna get that and just layer it over. You can see the onions, get some of those. Nice. And when I tell you that this smells so good, like I cannot wait to get some of this. And just make sure, like, you can have some of the shrimp, like, you know, uncovered. Just, you know, don't cheat us. Don't cheat yourself. Just give it, let's see, maybe a little bit more. You can let it fall off and drizzle over. Now, doesn't that look amazing? That looks ridiculously good. Like the best surf and turf I ever seen. Cannot wait to dig into this. So now we're at the finish line. This steak looks amazing. You too can make this. We're just following the simple steps that we did in the video. If you have any suggestions of what you would like to see me cook later on in the future, just comment down below. Make sure you like, share, comment, post it, tell your friends, tell your mother, tell everybody that I'm making videos, and ask them what they want to see. Let me know. But yes, thank you for watching, guys. I love you. Peace.